comfort eating. Four games, 4 losses. Winnable today as well. They're not in great form. Just the one draw. But actually, I know it's hard, everybody's got lip on, but that's probably his best performance at season so far. Albeit we've come away with now again. But overall, I think that's the best we've played. Now I know that's not a high bar to get over, but I thought there were a lot of things about today's performance that I didn't mind. We started with Southampton. Top side, they're going to be one of the top sides in this division. We'd had hardly any pre-season, a lot of new players through the door. And so it proved with game, but I almost saw that as a free hit. Do you know what I mean? And a typical Wednesday look, they've sold about 150 million quid worth of talent after that game. Shame they couldn't have sold them before. But then on to Hull, absolute crap. Preston last week, there were a few little bits, a 20-minute spell I'd say at first half, and I thought, gradual. And today I thought we're best we've played all season. Hard working, lots of endeavour, getting a footing, giving a lot of fouls away, but getting a footing at least anyway, and sticking to task. And albeit again we've not come away with many shots on target, we've probably had more than we've had in the last 2 games combined, so I've got to see that as a positive. But again, we've come away with now. Xisco mentioned in week about trusting the process, which is why I was very surprised today with his team selection and the way he set the team up. We'll just have a quick look at that. Wednesday made 4 changes from the team that lost to Preston last weekend. Out went Iofa, Momo Diaby, Famewo and Masaba, and in came Bernard, Patterson, Windass and Smith. Also a change to Wednesday's shape, they went to a 3-4-2-1. Back 3, Palmer, Diaby and Bernard. Midfield 4 of Patterson, Byers, Bannon and Delgado. And Josh Windass and Lee Gregory charged with supporting Michael Smith at centre forward. Trusting the process. If you're trusting the process, aren't you better sticking to your guns? Now, listen, I know there's been a lot of flack from Wednesday fans this week, and obviously we've just been promoted, 96 points, amazing day out at Wembley. And when things aren't going well, whatever it is in your life, when things aren't going well, you seek comfort from things that you do know, and things that you do know will comfort you. And I think a lot of people have been looking at 3-5-2 from last season and said, well, but that worked for us. Well, there's that old saying, isn't there? The past is a different country. People do things differently there. So I were prepared. I ain't got any choice really ever, but I were prepared to say, well, Xisco, he's a back 4 man. He wants us to play at a variation of a 4-3-3 or 4-5-1, whatever it is. So, and he's talked it week about trusting that process. Then we see today he's changed. He's gone to a back 3. Now, I'm not saying he's done that because supporters have been saying let's do it. He strikes me actually as a bit of a stubborn character, so I don't think it's out to do with the supporters and trying to appease them in any way. But if he's not doing it to appease people, then it's his idea, that concerns me a little bit. Because it says to me, is he starting to do that thing which managers have fallen foul of in the past? Darren Moore did it a little bit in his 2nd season. Gary Monk did it every week, which is, are we changing things because of the opposition? I'm not a fan of that. I know there's little things you want to keep an eye on. But, we're playing them next week. They've got a very good left winger, so maybe we'll think about this and other little details. But change the entire thing, because I'm not a fan of that game. Let them worry a little bit about you. So he surprised me there. Back three. It surprised me within the back three that he's then changed it. For Mayo, who seems to be a bit of a golden boy for Xisco, loves him, talking about him all the time, playing him every week at left back. He suddenly doesn't play today, and we've actually gone to a back three. And I'll come to it later. He's a left-footed centre half. So, unless he's injured, if you go into a back three, for Mayo would be perfect at left-sided centre back. Especially with him having that left foot, because it opens body and gives you that. I offer hard at squad completely again. And I'm a bit surprised at that, because the Diaby lad, he's got a bit of work to do to impress me, if I'm being honest with you. And the other change was up front. Now, we've talked in the last few weeks with this 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1, whatever you want to call it, that one of the problems we've had is Gregory's been playing on his own down the middle, been getting a little bit isolated. And I think everybody's in agreement that if you play this system, got to get them wide players in and supporting him. And with that, the way the front three lined up today, I think it gave us that opportunity to do that. What I'm a bit surprised at is that Lee Gregory's playing in that sort of inside left position. Masaba's been out there for weeks on end or whatever, but the old saying, get chalk on your boots, which is fine in a 4-4-2, but in a 4-3-3 you want them getting inside as much as they can. So Gregory's come inside, play this sort of inside left position. I would have thought that would have suited Masaba down to ground. I really would. I want Xisco to succeed. I really do. Well, of course I do, because if he succeeds, Wednesday's doing well. The last thing any of us need is us to be back down in third division, losing an extra £7 million a year. Nobody wants that. So I want him to succeed, but he does surprise me at nearly every turn. 1 minute he seems really stubborn about things. The next thing it's like, it's all out at window. So anyway, digressing. The game. Wednesday actually have an opportunity about 7 or 8 minutes in. Barry Bannon back in midfield, which is where we all want him. Lovely crossfield pass to Callum Patterson, who's coming off that right wing back spot. Drilled it across, and it's hit there, lad Collins, and it's took it out for a throw. But that excellent chance for Wednesday, very early on. And it's that thing, if you can get an early goal, changes complexion of things, doesn't it? Funnily enough, they had a very similar chance about a minute later. But I thought Wednesday started quite well. It wasn't a great game of football, this. It was a hugely entertaining game of football, but it was quite interesting because there were little spells in the game. And as I said at the beginning, in the intro, although it's not a high bar, I do think this has been Wednesday's best performance of the season. 27 minutes, Delgado gets booked. He's playing at left wing back. I'm going to have to start calling him Gaffer's lad here, Gaffer's son, because he's in every week, isn't he? And there's bits about Delgado that I like. He's tenacious and everything else. He's got a bit of a temper on him. And he's got booked here for a leg sweep on 27th minute. And then throughout the game after that, he's probably committed 5 or 6 free kicks he's given away. And I don't rate this referee, by the way. I've never rated him, but he could have had a second yellow for a couple of them, and it's those daft ones. It's daft one. If you're last man and their kid's got an open net, you might take him out and risk a red or whatever. But these are little the niggly ones, the what I call ego niggles, where you've got face on and you just kick out. So a few of them. He's an interesting player. What I didn't like about him on left, he's lively and I do like him, but what I didn't like about him on left is we'd got Bernard at left-sided centre-back. We'd then got Delgado, and then in front of that, nominally, we'd got Gregory going out there. All right footers. Now, I don't know whether that's what Xisco wanted to keep things narrow. But the number of times all three of them, in different ways, had a little ball down line. But because of their natural inclination to get it onto the right foot, that was an avenue that were closed off to us all through the game. Probably about half an hour, that meaty, he should score. Lovely little clip ball in from right hand side. Makes a run from back 18-yard line, right across, gets in front of his man, and he's got to bury it for me. They should be 1-0 up there. Good opportunity, good run, gets plenty of forward on it, and I think he's got to bury it. One good attack from Wednesday, Bannon again, because the play's in front of him, because he's in midfield where he should be. I just hope that's the one thing that Munoz has took from today, is that he's put Bannon where he should be. Ball out to right hand side, Patterson and Palmer link. As the ball's about to be put into the box, Gregory's wrestled down on back stick, and I think it's a good penalty shout, as it is, because ball's over there near corner flag about to get delivered. Both referee and liner are both looking at that, so we're never going to get that, but watching off the ball like I were watching him make his run, to see if there's anybody in there before cross coming, I think that was a good penalty shout, but never going to get that. Two struggling teams, but to be fair, they were both having a bit of a go at it. Both trying to play football, weren't brilliant, but they were both having a go at playing. Like I said, this referee, I'm not a big fan of him. Lots of little niggly fouls, but he's pulling stuff up then they're in a niggly foul, which makes it look like it's far worse than it is. Bannon gets booked for stopping a quick free kick, but it was a quick free kick that should never have been a free kick, because it weren't a foul. They got a lad, Siopis I think he were called, he was a niggly little, look at him. Callum Patterson were running towards him, and he fell on the floor before Pato got there, tried to take a quick and Bannon got him way, and he's got a booking for that. And there were a few flashpoints in game actually with that Siopis. He's one of them a little niggly get, and he was wind-up merchant, and he got that look, sort of person who pushes in a bus stop queue. He was winding Delgado up. He was having a niggle at Byers at one bit. He'd had him and a NG, I think they call it, NG. Them two niggling all afternoon. And I'm afraid of one or two times Wednesday players rose to it, bit to it. Like I said, little niggly fouls, and we're getting pulled up a fair bit, but that's the opposite. He was getting away with it. Referee was sort of turning a blind eye with that, and that's frustrating. It's not cost us a game, I don't like that. I'm not making excuses in that sense, but they make what are poor games worse, referees like this, when they just decide, if you know what I mean. So yeah, didn't like that Siopis, niggly little get. And like I said, Wednesday, unfortunately for them, we're falling into trap too often. And the worry about that is you don't want to be giving away set pieces, because we've conceded 2 penalties this season. We've conceded from giving away free kicks in cheap areas, so little things like that, especially when they needless ones, when they temper free kicks as I call them, got to cut them out. Second half they come out with bit between teeth, Cardiff. I don't know what had been said at half time, but they come out and give it a go. And I would say for probably first 10-15 minutes at second half, they were really getting into us. And like I said, that's where I think this has probably been Wednesday's better performance this season. I know it's a loss and everybody's pissed off. I don't think it's been as horrific as people think. But because we've lost the 3 previous games, I think it's like an accumulation of despair that we're thinking this performance has probably been worse than it is, because we haven't any points on board. So I think there's that thing of, it's another defeat, it's another shit performance, but Preston was better than Hull, and this were better than Preston. That's what I'm going to say. Still a defeat, no points on board, but I did think it was marginally better. But second half they did come out, they had a right good go at it. And like I said, this is where I think it was half decent from Wednesday. We were getting a footing, working really hard, tracking back, getting an head on things, getting a block in, and sticking to the task. And if you do that every week, you've got a chance. Especially if you do that every week and you've got a consistent team, a consistent selection of players, and people are learning what the job's in and learning the jobs of the people who are around them. But they had a good goal. And 47 minutes, just after start, they've got the lead. Ugbo. It's a good finish. There's a couple of things. The ball comes into, it gets crossed from right hand side to back stick. I think Pato can do better. I think he can get up better there. Albeit it's a little bit, it's one of them, it's just over him. But if it's in front of him, I think he goes and attacks it, and I think he gets more height on it. So harder to get that height when you're going a little bit backwards, but I think he can get up a bit better. And then it comes into the middle. It's a good finish from there, lad. Takes it on chest, volleys it in. Can Diaby get there quicker? I think he has a bit of a halfway house before he goes out to him. But again, when the initial cross comes in, he's going to cross to Bernard's man because he's half daydreaming. So he goes across to his man. Then when it gets headed back in from behind him from Patterson's man, he then has to come back across. So it's the little things, but we go a goal behind, and it came from a sustained bit of Cardiff pressure from just after half time. Yeah, Diaby. He's got to win me over. I mean, he's a big unit. He's got some right shot. There's a bit in end when he got I think he got a split cheek or lip, and he had to come off. And he's absolutely hench, as the kids would say. I think he could do better in air a few occasions today, and he's not the best passer at ball. There's a lot gone out for a throw today and gone wild. It's got a foot like a ladle. And I'm a little bit surprised, like I said before, that Firmino's gone out at team. And that Iofa's been out today. Heck, we dropped that Rick at Hull. Obviously, he's not a footballer. He's a decent, good centre half. I like him. But he's been out at picture since then. And like I said last week against Preston, all this chopping and changing, I don't think it does players any favours. I really don't. You want to build up a consistency. You want to build up form. I mean, some players, they can be out for months on end injured, for example, and come back in and look like they've never been away. Some players might take them 3 or 4 games to get going. But that's the same with players who are fit. Some players, you can drop them for 2 weeks and they come in and look like they've never been away. And some players, they need a little bit momentum to get the games going. So I'm not a big fan of all this chopping and changing. Wednesday then had what for me were the best spell, well, not just a game but the entire season. Volks come on. I think Xisco deserves a bit of praise here because the early changes, it's only about 8-9 minutes into the second half. It's pretty early by our standards, especially last season. Darren Moore were a 65-70 minute man. So Volks came on into midfield for Byers. I think it had a decent game by us, but obviously it's been out a long while. And like I said, some people, they strayed in and carry on. Some people need to build up. Thought he did okay by us. And common sense probably from Xisco that being out a while, don't give him too much to do. And we were doing a lot of chasing in this game, so don't give him too much to do. Volts came on, involved straight away. Ironically, with him being like a defensive midfielder, I actually thought he played a bit higher up than Byers had been playing. He was getting things going forward. I mean, we predominantly think about him as a ball winner, but getting things going forward. And he played a wonderful ball for Windass. I've seen it described this afternoon as a terrible miss. I don't know how. It's a great ball. Volks wedges it over back four. And Windass has made a brilliant run in from out wide, got inside his fullback and diagonalled himself in behind centre half. Ball's come over, and with the angle it's come at, it's a straightish pass over from Volks. I think Windass has done really well to get any connection and direct it with any power on it. I think it's a great run, and I think it's a great header. And it's a really good save. Alnick gets up, get full stretch hand to it, puts it over bar. It's a great move by Wednesday. It's a super pass, great header, and a really good save. To be honest, I'm not having that down as a bad miss. I think it's a fantastic run and a great header. And Wednesday just turning its screw a little bit here. Probably a minute later, Volks and Bannon, we get down left hand side. Bannon whips a superb ball in, and again Windass is flying in. He's made that inside run, and it's the sort of run we talked about it last week. Talked about it against Hull. Talked about it against Southampton. It's that run, getting in and making a second striker. That if he goes back to his 4-3-3, they're the runs that you want them wide players making. Bannon puts a great cross in. Windass is coming in, and Aaron Ramsey makes a super defensive header, full stretch, knocks it out, gets it wrong, gets it back of his own net. But really good defensive header. 2 good spells of pressure from Wednesday in like 2 minutes, putting good delivery into the box. And we're putting them under a bit like we were under it probably the first 10 second half. Of course, as we're pushing on, that's when you're most at risk, isn't it? And during this spell, there were a couple of times when they've oofed a clearance, and they were oofs, I don't think they're playing with much more confidence than we are. They broke that left-hand side. Dowder, he'd made a run. And centre-forward gets in, and somebody's made a fantastic run down the right-hand side, inside channel. And if he gets his head up, it's a 2-yard pass at kids in with a one-on-one, but he head down, bit greedy, shoots at near post, comfortable save for Vasquez. And that's the thing, when you're having these spells of pressure, you've got to be really switched on at back, because one boot over top and that can be game over. It's interesting really with substitutions, because Xisco's made positive change. He brought Volks on, brought Fletcher on. He had a very busy game, Smith, doing a lot of hard work in first half. He were trying to stretch him, and he were chasing folks down. Fletcher come on. I think he was more mobile than Smith. I've seen Fletcher getting a right hammer in tonight, I think this is the longest he's played. He's had about 28 minutes, something like that. He's had 3 10-15 minute appearances off bench, and folks are like, well, he's not scored yet. Kids who've been starting haven't been scoring, have they? Do you know what I mean? Let's give kid a chance. But yeah, positive from Xisco. Thought he was mobile, Fletcher, and whilst he didn't get a lot at ball, because of his mobility, he was really starting to pull them about a bit at back, and he was creating spaces for Windass to get into. A great opportunity near end. Windass intercepts ball, starts driving in, and if you see it, if it's on highlights later, Fletcher makes a really good run, sort of across front, and he takes one that plays away with him to give Windass that space to drive into. So I thought that was an intelligent play. But like I said, substitutions, they've then made some subs of their own. Brought a kid on right wing, Ollie Tanner, 21, signed from Bromley apparently. Looked really good, really tricky player, and he's come on with 25 minutes to go, and he were getting Delgado twisted blood. Do you know what I mean? And he were getting frustrated, and that's what I talked about earlier. But these little niggly fouls and sweeps. That Tanner went on probably 2 or 3 runs where he's beat 2 or 3 men. Looked a really exciting winger. I like the look of him. Didn't particularly like the look of him running at us, by the way. But when they're not playing against us, I'll be interested to see what he's doing. And that sort of started just seeing momentum even up a little bit, because they'd got an out ball. They'd got someone who'd get ball and run down pitch, and you can't have enough of them sort of players. But Wednesday had been better, and they got the goal. It's an absolutely wonderful finish. Palmer and Patterson linking down right hand side. It's one of the few times Palmer had really got forward in game. That's something else I've not been a fan of this season, is we haven't really been getting fullbacks push that far on. But he was in their box, little 1-2 with Patterson, pops it out to Windass, and it's a lovely square ball. He almost draws the man towards him, gets it out to Bannon, opens body, little touch out, and curls it in with that left foot. Absolutely fantastic. There's no keeper on earth saving that. It's absolutely banging corner. Into the side netting. Fantastic finish, and you're thinking, nah, note daft now. Note daft. There's a couple more changes. Gregory comes off for Backinson. That's a little shuffling. Backinson goes into midfield, and then Bannon goes into that sort of inside left position that Gregory had been playing. He's charging about in there again. He actually gives us an out ball there because of his willingness to sprint after things, and he's got that left foot. There were a couple of times he actually got away down left hand side, but I think you'd then lose that little bit of tenacity in it. Like, Backinson's a nice player on ball, I think. I know he's not really set well done far since Sabino. I think he's nice on ball, but he's not got that energy and tenacity. He's not that sort of player. So thought we conceded a little bit at middle ground when we did that. James come on to the left hand side. His very first touch at ball. Ball comes out to him. He lets it come across his body, and he puts a ball 25 yards down line on the floor, just inside touch line. Fletcher gets after it. We get a corner at a throw in 40 yards down pitch from where we initially started with the ball. And that's just that thing about having that balance of having a left footer on the left, which is why I'm so surprised that he's been overlooked. Why Firmino didn't start at left-sided centre half today, and why Marvin Johnson is still completely omitted from the squad. I don't get that. I think Marvin's got a relaxed look when he's on pitch, and perhaps Xisco strikes me as being quite an intense character, and Marvin's got that laid-back look. And perhaps you don't fancy him because of that. If you're an intense person, you're saying you're looking for other people who's got similar characteristics to you that you recognise. And if you come on, lads, you want to see players out there with that, So you can see why players like Bannon, Patterson will really get stuck in there. You can see why players like that appeal to a manager who's quite intense. Maybe it's that Johnson looks relaxed and Xisco thinks, it's too laissez-faire for me, too easy-go-lucky. But I think you have to put that aside, because what he does do is it gives you that width, it gives you that natural balance, and he's still one of the best deliveries of a ball in club. So I do find that frustrating and puzzling. He's totally mission from squad. Dying moments. that Tanner gets the ball again. As I said, really impressed with him. He plays a little 1-2 down the right hand side. Cross comes in. It's a whipped cross, but there's no Cardiff players in there. It's dying embers at game. They're not in much better form than us, and they clearly don't want to lose game either. So they've knocked too many men forward. So there's I think it's Diaby, but that might be Palmer at back. Ball comes in, no Cardiff player in there. And Volks, who's come on and been running about, because he's not had much of a sniff under this manager, so clearly he's trying to impress, and he's ratting in there or what have you. And he chucks himself at it. And in the last minute of a cup final, he might chuck his in at something like that. It's his shoulder for me. He chucks himself at it. You can see he's trying to get his arm out of it. I think it's his shoulder. He looks as shocked as anyone. Ref gives a penalty, which is duly dispatched to it, and wins them the game. He's got no need to do it. I don't know why he's done it. But whilst he's on Twitter taking a lot of hammer, who's telling him? If you're left back, or if you're right back, sorry, if you're one at 2 centre halves, if you're a goalkeeper and you're aware and there's a cross coming in and there's no Cardiff player in box and you can see your nearest man heading towards it, give him a shout. Give him a shout. The keeper can come out, and the one at centre halves can put their name on it and volley it away. So as much as he's chucked himself at it needlessly, for me, there's 3-4 people behind him that can put their name on it. Communication, but again, it comes back. Communication builds the more you're playing with people. It's a different back three. I don't know, but communication. I think that cuts that out. I mean, like I said, it's a bizarre move from Volks, but it's a team game, and communication's one of the most important things in football. So I think, for me, there's a bit of culpability in there with 3 or 4 that stood behind him. Man at match, well, it'd have to be Barry Bannon, back in midfield, where he belongs. I'm hoping now this is the end to this bloody number 10 false 9 bloody experiment, whatever it's been. I'm hoping this means it's the end of that now. I suspect he's only been put in there because Diaby got injured against Preston. But however you come to conclusion, I don't care how Xisco comes to conclusion, as long as he gets to conclusion. And Bannon's performance today will hopefully see him realising that. So hopefully that's Bannon back in midfield. I thought Patterson had a good game, up and down, really busy, getting stuck in. I think he can do better for first goal. I think he can get up, but like I said, it's slightly behind him, and it is hard to jump backwards and get the height. But I thought Patterson had a good game, solid game. Delgado, there's bits to him I like. He's tenacious. He's got to cut out them silly fouls because they're not even fouls. Do you know what I mean? They're not them fouls where you think this bastard's having it next time ball goes to him. They're not even them. They're like them daft leg sweeps. Do you know what I mean? You've got to cut them out. Thought Byers was steady. He's been out a while. Good to see him back and enjoying himself again. Volks were good. I know he's going to get blamed for penalty, but the performance he put in second half, if you put that over 90 minutes, I think he'd be well within a shout for man at match. The forward three, they worked hard, they were industrious. Windass, and this is why I can't understand why he's been omitted last week. If you're going to play a system where you've got wide forwards, it's imperative to get in and around box, and especially in second half, he was really doing that. He sort of sparked to life in second half. There was the headed chance again when he's come inside his full back and got behind centre half. There was an interception he made. There were one that Ramsey just managed to get away from his head. I thought he really come alive second half. Like I said, you've got to have wide forwards who've got that desire to get in and get involved. Don't want folks who are just stood there on flank waiting for ball to come to them, so it's not a great performance from Wednesday. It's not a great performance from Cardiff. Like I said, it wasn't a great game of football, but there were a lot of interesting little battles in there and what have you. Like I said, I like the look of that Tanner that played for them. Bannon back in his best position. But it also raises so many questions. As I said, Xisco talks about the process, trust the process, but it's another system. It's not, essentially it's a 3-4-3, isn't it? So it's something else. And why has he decided on that today? Is it because he thought it'd get the better of Cardiff? Is he bowing to pressure? I don't think it's that. Does he not think or believe in his own process himself? It's easy saying, trust the process. It's alright saying that to media and fans. Do you believe it yourself? Because every human has doubts. You can say, I'm going to do this and that other, but everybody has doubts, especially when results aren't coming. No matter what line of business you're in, we're going to do this and this, and when results don't come, everybody has doubts, apart from a psychopath. So Leeds next week, is it going to be 3 at back? Is it going to be 4 at back? Is it going to be 1 up front, 3 up front, 2 up front? Are we now going to see players playing in their best areas at pitch, in their best positions? Like I said, there's as many questions as there is answers. Like I said, not a great performance, but the best performance this season so far. Against a side that I think are going to be down there at bottom with us and probably struggling. So really could have done with taking at least a point from this today. And for the sake of fine margins, I think we were probably worth a point. No, I do honestly. I think we're probably worth a point. Like I said, there's that Windass header. Another time ago, like I said, that one that comes away from Ramsey. Bannon had a 30-yarder. Delgado had a shot in first half. Patson had one that were brilliantly blocked by McGuinness. So, ifs, buts and maybes, but overall I thought it was a best performance, and I thought we were worth a draw. A bit cruel, especially last minute like it were, and them having knobbed in box. And then on to Leeds next week. We've just put 4 past Ipswich today. But daft as it sounds, when chips are down like this and you can't see where next wind's coming from, and everybody I talk to says they can't see where wind's coming from, sometimes you get these results at places where you least expect. And a Yorkshire derby, blood and thunder, 4 mile at Winder. Well, having 4 mile at Winder might just suit us, seeing as our form is played 4, lost 4. 4 mile at Winder, absolutely brilliant. So maybe we could go up there and get an ugly win at Leeds. That'd be a good way to get season rolling. And then he's got 10 days or 12 days to really get stuck into players and really try and push this process that he's talking about on and get his methods into players. Although, as I said, with changes again today, I'm not exactly sure still what that method is. I thought it were calling out for Masaba. When Gregory come off, Backinson come on, and they pushed Baz up there. I'd have left Baz where he were. you know, and I thought it's cool enough to get a young player who can drive up pitch in that last 10-15 minutes when opposition's tiring him. I don't know why I'm going on. Finished video I'm going to finish a minute ago, but it's just little other thoughts popping in my head. Selection. People used to joke, you know, about Darren Morse, you know, especially his second season, first season in League One, about him picking team out, you know, using Tom Bowler. But this is next level. This is next level Tom Bowler. This is. Anyway, I'm not going to bother showing you league table. We all know what crack is. And now we've got a visit to Elland Road. And this is going to be clock cold and all.